Today on Dirty Linen, we are doing something we've never done before. In fact, I don't even know if it's been done before. It is a restaurant review as a podcast. Interesting, hey? I feel like the format of the restaurant review is due a bit of a shake-up. As much as I enjoy writing them, I want to experiment with different ways to tell restaurants' stories and to, share what they're all about with potential diners or just people who are interested. We are going tonight to Nomad in Melbourne. It's a Sydney restaurant which has just branched out, come south across the border. We welcome that. We're okay with it. I've loved eating at Nomad in Sydney. It's built around fire. I love Jackie Challenor's approach to food, really honest, very produce driven. And in Sydney, you can sit right at the kitchen bar and watch it all happen in front of you. The Melbourne restaurant has taken over an extremely venerable site. It's the site of Izard, which was here for 25 years. Absolutely iconic, perennially three-headed restaurant, one of Melbourne's fine dining institutions, which didn't quite make it all the way through the pandemic. But, it was probably, I think it came to a natural close in a way. So things need to change and we're going to experience the change. Let's wander into Nomad and see what it's like. Well, here we are at Nomad. It is so different to the Sydney one. I'm just feeling a lot of lighter timber, really comfy leather banquettes, and the kitchen at the back, which is quite different to the central Nomad Sydney kitchen. But it is absolutely buzzing. You could probably hear. There's just absolutely no trouble filling the room as soon as this restaurant has opened in Melbourne. And the menu is one of those menus, well, I read it and I basically wanted everything. It's been really hard to choose. So I started by ordering about, not everything, but quite a few things on the menu. And already we've had green olive stuffed with nduja and crumbed, so golden, brown and crisp. Really delicious balance of briny and spicy with that richness from the nduja. Nduja is a spicy spreadable Calabrian salami, by the way. What else have we got? Just this incredible focaccia, golden, burnished and puffy, has been brought to the table. A wood-fired flatbread, I guess you'd call it. Scratch focaccia. It's wood-fired flatbread. It's got these dark spots from the fire, seeds, a dusting of za'atar. It looks incredible, and let me have a bite. It's really beautiful and warm from the fire. You know that wood-smoked puff of air that you get from something that's inflated with charcoal and fire and heat? So delicious. And there's some duck mortadella, which I'm going to have a bite of now. I'm such a sucker for mortadella. I think it's my favourite charcuterie. And this is really good. It doesn't have the big flecks of fat that you get in the standard pork mortadella, but it's got a very slight gaminess from the duck. And I have to say I'm loving everything so far. Better get back to it. This meal is proceeding delightfully. Excuse me while I have a sip of my sparkling wine from South Australia. So good. Okay. A few more dishes have come to the table, but before I talk about them, I just want to talk about the general feeling of being out. And as Rob Locke, my producer, who I'm sitting here with, just remarked, this would be an unthinkable scene a month ago. It's the kind of thing that we thought we were working towards, but I don't know if we trusted that it was going to happen. I don't know if I thought that I'd be in the mood. I knew I missed restaurants. I knew I wanted to get back out there. I hoped for the revival of the city, but to be sitting here in amongst it, eating, talking, in amongst people that I don't know, it is a really meaningful feeling. But let's talk about some food. So there's one of the signature dishes is a eggplant escabeche. So with escabeche, you normally think of it as something that's been cooked, and then it's then soured in a vinegar dressing. This is eggplant that's been roasted on the fire and then tossed with a really tart, delicious marinade. So it's got that richness, that succulence of roasted eggplant, so beautifully sweet and slippery. But then it's got a real tart kick from the vinegar, and it's got curry leaves as well, fried curry leaves. And they are, I think, one of my favourite fragrances and flavours. As I'm talking about it, I'm also a little bit nervous because normally when I write a restaurant review, I check everything. I'm on the phone, I'm on the internet, making sure, thank you, making sure that I've got my facts straight. I'm winging it a bit here. Hopefully I'm getting everything semi-right. What I'm definitely getting right is how much I'm enjoying it. Another dish that came to the table was preceded by a little trivet that was put down before this sizzling hot skillet. And the skillet has baked ricotta in it, fresh, fluffy baked ricotta, just stuck to the pan with its caramelised exterior. Next to that was a plate of roasted peppers and anchovies just laid out in little subtle stripes of red and brown. And the idea is that you scoop up the peppers and anchovies and put them over this sizzling hot ricotta. And I have to say, it's just such a clever dish. Really quite simple, like 3 elements, but the flavours meld so beautifully, different textures, the bite of the peppers, the sweetness of the peppers, but that sort of sweet, almost sharp sweetness of the peppers with the fluffy sweetness of the ricotta, and then the salty kick of the anchovies. I am all about it. Absolutely loving it. It's pushing my buttons so far. Let's see what happens. We've talked about Nomad being built around fire, but a big part of the Nomad story is a terrible fire that ruined the Sydney restaurant and kicked them down the street into a pop-up. Here comes our pork. Do you mind introducing it on the microphone for my podcast?
This is the Western Plains pork cutlet. We've got a little caper and golden raisin salsa underneath, and this is the fennel salad. That's okay, the fennel salad, house-made shanklish in there. It's beautiful, packs a real punch, lots of pepper.
I'm excited, thank you. So we've got, oh my goodness, this looks incredible. So it's like pork fillet cut off the bone. I guess, I don't know if you call it a ribeye in Porkland, but it looks incredible with crackling. It looks outstanding. And this beautiful fennel salad. It's not what I was expecting. I was expecting really roasted caramelized fennel, but it looks really fresh and lively and shaved, and I'm so excited. Nomad had a fire at the Sydney restaurant which kicked them out down the street. They had to do Nomad down the road, and they've only just gone back into the Sydney venue. And then throw in a pandemic, some challenges finding the right site in Melbourne. I guess, there's so much in restaurant land that is about overcoming adversity and just pushing on. And I think it feels like a real victory and celebration to even be in this restaurant, eating this beautiful food and just seeing a dream come to fruition. Now I better eat some pork. So this has been a really life-affirming meal. I've loved it. The flavours are really big and true. The service has been great. I know how hard it is to find staff at the moment, but, I think, they've managed to get a great team together. And we've just had dessert put in front of us. I've gone for the roasted rice pudding, which is a bit of a milk pudding, and it's got a really amazing wobble on it. This has got a crispy layer over the top, sort of like a creme brulee type thing, but it's made with, it looks like poppy seed and citrus, and I'm just going to give it a little crack. That was me dismantling a dessert. And now I'm going to eat the dessert. Let me get it. It says rice pudding, but it's very milky and smooth. Wow. A lot of different textures. It's got the bitterness of maybe some burnt orange, and the caramelization, a little bit of bitterness from the roasted rice. But yeah, it's really intriguing. It's really subtle, but it's got a little bit of punch as well. So thanks, Nomad, for being the site of my first podcast restaurant review. I'm not gonna score you, but I'm just going to thank you for an amazing meal, just a really good punctuation point on the return of Melbourne dining. And welcome to Melbourne, Nomad. Great to have you here. This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.